Hockey Show, and today we are talking about the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. They've brought back those beautiful, delicious jerseys. They're back in style, and the Ducks went from like the worst jerseys in the NHL to like the very best. Look at this thing. It's beautiful, and that guy right there, beautiful. This guy right there, beautiful. Looks amazing all around. But anyways, I decided, you know what? Might as well start the season previews here, right? I mean, alphabetically, of course, but not just then. But we're less than 2 months away at this point, and I'm like, you know what? Preseason's going to be starting sooner than later, really. And so I'm like, let's start talking about them. So the Ducks, they've been in the news, a little bit of the circle of the mill now. People talking about, are they hype? Are they better than they really are? And usually, I'm the one that has opinions that are completely contradictory to everyone else in the world, but I'm usually right. And, yeah, so I was like, you know what? Let's finally talk about the Anaheim Ducks. So let's start off with them. So the Ducks finishing 27-50-5 last season. Of course, they've been very bad the last few years, and this year especially horrifyingly bad. 59 points, 30th in the NHL, 7th in the Pacific Division. And so yeah, they were at the, like, you know, here's the mountain, you know, right up here, like tippity top, and they're about like down here. Like you can't even say hello. Like they can't even hear you at this point, right? So Ducks are absolutely abysmal. They're 39 points away from a playoff spot. The second wild card spot, 39 points away. That is insane how far away they were. So clearly this is a team that really, really, really sucks, right? But there is potential, and that is why I see people talking about how maybe they're going to be better. They're going to surprise people this season. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe they are, and usually this is the wishful thinking, you know, like when, like, what was it, like 2019 when the New Jersey Devils got PK Subban, and then they got Nico Hischier, and they also traded for someone else, I forget now, but remember then when everyone was like freaking out about the Devils that went off season, because it's like, oh, they got these guys, these young guys, and all this going together, they're going to be great, and then they were horrible. I think we're in a scenario like that, where we see, like, the NHL, like, the EA Sports ratings of all these elite level players, and they're just, like, you're getting into your head about it, and you're over-exaggerating how good they really are. Because you gotta be realistic, right? The Anaheim Ducks are made up of a lot of young talent, and even though some of them might be very talented players when it comes to the offensive side of the game, defensively is where a lot of things fall off, and not just to the forwards group. So let's talk about this potentially really hypeable team. But is the hype for real? Is it real? If you know what that means, then good for you. I don't really care. So anyways, let's look at the forward group, right? So of course you got Cutter Gauthier, brought onto this team from the Jamie Drysdale trade, which I think was a very smart move. Gauthier looks like an absolute stud that's going to be on this team. He's tall, he's strong, he's good in both ends, he's going to score points, he's a fighter. Like, I think this is a brilliant move for the Ducks. Like, awesome move. But this is his first season. This is his first year. And even like the Connor Bedards and the Connor McDavids of the world, right? Their best season, their rookie seasons, not their best seasons, but their rookie years, 50 points, right? Connor McDavid had 45, I believe, in his rookie year, right? So even if Gauthier is like contending for the Calder, he's going to have like what, a 40, 50 point season? Not that insane, like, game-changing, right? Leo Carlsson was pretty decent in the half a season that he was allowed to play, because the stupid why the Ducks did that, I don't really understand. But he was very decent, right? And to figure that he should have just fit into the top line already on a pretty, like, bad team, might as well, right? Like, put Gauthier, the young, like, Carlson, the young, like, these strong players with, like, a Troy Terry. To me, that kind of makes sense. Now, I just went off of, like, what Daily Faceoff puts, and usually I hate just going off of their freaking lines, but honestly, I don't disagree with this. Right now, of course, there's a lot of jumbling around, like, Strome can be a centerman, Vetrano can be a centerman, Zegras is as well, McTavish. They have a lot of guys to play around with, and that's why I was like, it's kind of hard to decide what the lines should be, because there's just so much potential of what could be bounced around and stuff. But realistically, this doesn't look like a team that's going to have a true top line, because you've got Gauthier, Carlson, and Terry, Vetrano, Zegras, and Strome, McTavish down there. Like, you got a lot of guys like that can easily be the man, right? And they could be put onto the top line. I feel it's definitely a type of scenario you have to see where things lie. But overall, Gauthier, Carlson, Terry could be a very good offensive line. Definitely has like a threat of Gauthier being out there. Troy Terry's can get points on the board. Carlson he wasn't a point per game, but he was at least like half a point per game, and he's very strong. So to me, it's like, yeah, they're going to have a threat on the ice out there. Second line with Zegras, Vetrano, and Strome. Vetrano definitely going to come back to earth a little bit from his amazing season last season, but he is very good in both ends of the ice. Zegras, however, is horrible. Strome is a pretty middling, whatever kind of forward. Then, like, Fabry's brought onto this team, McTavish and Killorn. Then you get to Johnston and Lundestrom and Legion. Like, it's just... The offense, a lot of people, you can look at this and be like, yes, Carlson, Gauthier, like Gauthier's going to be, he's a stud out there. He's going to be Matthew Tkachuk already, right? Zegras, he's going to bounce back. He's going to get 60 points. Just don't play him on the penalty kill, and everything will be okay. Vetrano's good all around. He had almost a 40-goal season last year. Terry can get into like the 70s of points. McTavish on the third line, that's depth. And I'm like, okay, sure, you do have some decent depth. Robbie Fabry and like Killorn with McTavish by the third line is not bad at all. And to me, it's like, sure, there is some decent depth, and offensively, though, you don't have any true killing threats, right? You do have threats on the ice to put out there, right? Zegras, as much as the flack that he gets, he is still a very offensively gifted player that can create plays to happen, right? Vetrano, he had 37 goals last season. Leo Carlson was an amazing player and could have contended for the Calder if they just didn't give him the stupid way of playing, the stupid half the games. And Gauthier is going to be an absolute like fighter on the ice to get get goals out there and get points. Like, he's going to be a strong player, but there's no true like 70s and 80s and 90 points players. There's not consistency in this lineup. And the biggest issue is when it comes to young players like this, none of them are ever very good when it comes to the defensive side of the game. That is what you grow into. No matter what, if someone's like gifted at that as a junior, they have to grow into that, right? Offensive side of things, like a Bedard can jump up, can easily get points on the board and just start his career off the bat, right? But when it comes to the defensive side of things, is where players are going to need to grow into it. And this team is not in that position, right? Other than like a Vetrano, but you get to the Terrys and the Zegrases that are going to be playing a lot of minutes on the ice. You get to Gauthiers, who are a true rookie, and even though he might be good in the USHL or whatever in juniors, sure, but at this level, he's not prepared for that. The NHL is a different beast, and for the depth, to like play good defense up front is going to be an issue. And that is especially when you have one big issue and then another. Two wrongs definitely do not make a right. And this is where the big issue is. Dumoulin, Fowler, okay, sure, maybe. Vakainen, and Gudis, and Minchikov, and Lacombe. That defense is maybe not atrocious, but is far from good. It is far from good. And then you pair that with Gibson in net and Dostal. Now, for me, I know a lot of people hating on John Gibson. I think he can definitely be a competitive goaltender, but maybe I'm wrong, because not even any NHL team, apparently there's no market for him. So I think that's kind of interesting. But I've watched games with him in them, and he is the type of goaltender that is playing hard games, and I wish he was on a competitive team, because I think he would be awesome. But with Gibson and Dostal back there, it's like, sure, you have two solid goaltenders and Dostal as well. Sure, but with the offense, that there's going to be no support defensively from the offense up front, like, very little. Sure, you can make a case about, like, Vetrano, maybe McTavish, and Carlson, but it isn't game-changing, right? It's not the type of offense that's going to be able to shove the puck down the throat of the other end and then help out when the puck goes back into their zone and then the defense can clean up. No. They're going to be getting very small support, and they're going to be fighting a battle all game, a defensive game, right? The puck will be in their zone. It'll be tough for them to get it down the ice and consistently stay in their zone. And that's going to be a big issue that's going to weigh on them this whole game, where that is where they haven't really improved. When it comes to offense, I think they have improved, right? Carlson playing a longer season, Gauthier being on this team, Zegras not being injured this season, Terry and Vetrano coming off, Vetrano especially coming off a great season, McTavish on the third line. Like, there are some, like, good competitive offensive bringing players, but this team has no defense. There is no defense to this team, and goaltending is not the type that's going to just hold them on every game to play like a competitive game. They're going to be floundering in their own zone, and that is going to be their big issue, and they have really not improved on that. And sure, Minchikov and Zellweger, if he makes the team, then sure, like, maybe. But those type of defensemen, like, unless you're like a Moritz Seider, it is a very rare occurrence, it feels like, that a new defenseman, maybe like a Brock Faber too, but even him, he was touted for being a great defenseman in his first season. Maybe not great, but greater rookie defenseman in his first season. He is still far from being like a number one, like, hold the fort down the forward. So to me, people saying, are we sleeping on the Ducks? Are we sleeping on them? Are they going to be way better than we're all apparently thinking they're going to not be? No. My prediction, I meant to write it down here, but I'll just say it, is that this team is definitely improved. Are they better than the Sharks? I think they will be more competitive than the Sharks. Maybe. I don't know, because they were 39 points away. Is there a realm where the Anaheim Ducks can make up ground of 39 points? No. This team is not a 20-point team difference better. They're not a 30 points team different better. This is a team that I would say maybe is a 10 points different better and could end up in 6th place behind, like, in front of, like, the Flames. Maybe they beat the Flames and the Sharks or something like that. Maybe. I'm not entirely sure about that either. They, I don't know. I think, like, at their peak, the best this team can do is, like, make up a ground of difference of, like, 5 more wins, that's 10 points, would 10 more wins, 5 more wins, that would be just 32 wins, right? Do I think this team could get to 32 wins from this season? I think so, but that's still, to 69 points, they're still going to be 29 points behind. So it's like they're not making up the ground to make it in the playoffs. But I think they will be a team where they finish in, like, the 70s of points, where they're not in, like, the bottom basement of the league, but but far from the wild card. I think this is a team that can make up some ground and get into the 60s of points, and are not going to be a bottom, 3 wild card team. I think they improved to, they'll still top 10 worst, but maybe closer to that 10 number in my... No. I don't know. The Ducks are still going to suck. I guess that's all I got to say. They're still finishing way before the wild card spot, below 500, I think. And, are still going to be a very middling team. But do they have an amazing potential team to look out for and look for the very highlight points of this team looking forward? Absolutely. Gauthier and Carlson, it's Zegras, and also, I guess I may as well add on top of things of guys I forgot to point on down here, but like Zegras or Vetrano getting traded. Frankie Vetrano is later in his career. He is in the prime of it. By the time this team is good, I'm guessing he doesn't want to stick around for a few years of a middling team and have no success. Zegras, I know, is a superstar. He probably doesn't want out of Anaheim, but Anaheim probably wants him out. And he probably gets flipped if a Gibson gets traded. Dostal is not ready for a first-time position spot yet. So there's a lot of, functions. Also, is a Dumoulin a guy that gets flipped later on to this season, right? So this team is still a selling team, and they're not going to keep this team together to get into the playoffs or something. It's not going to happen. They're going to flip some players, and even that's going to add to it. So for anyone out there that thinks, the Ducks are going to be jumping into the wild card race, I don't think so. I think at best, maybe they can get into the wild card race, but when they're 15 points behind the wild card, where it's they were that close, and it's no, you're not. That would be the extent. I would say the closest they get to the playoffs is 15 points out. There's no way they make the playoffs. But to me, is this a team that will be exciting to watch? Absolutely. Cutter Gauthier, I think, is going to be one of the more primed for for the NHL being just like a bigger, more like gaming player. To me, I think he'll be more ready for the NHL experience. And Carlson, give a full season of Carlson. I think you should give him the first line minutes, at least the second line, to be like a star out there. NCC, like what happens with Zegras, right? And now he's also healthy this season. I'm sure he's going to want to come back and get some more money for his highlight reel. So that's all I'm saying. So the Anaheim Ducks, they're going to be a team that still definitely sucks. The Ducks are going to suck, but they are going to have some shiny points, and I think it is going to be fun to watch them, but they are not going to win those games that you're watching. And that is all I got to say. So thank you for watching this if you made it this far. If you have, I'm begging you, please subscribe. Please. It'll make me happy. And other than that, too sweet. I hope you have a fantastic day. And ta-ta for now.